Good day. The purpose of this tutorial is to help people understand what is Safeguard. So Safeguard is a piece of software that handles your safeguarding administration, but the management of that. And it's important for organizations to realize that getting their safeguarding administration correct is arguably as important as getting their safeguarding correct. And so to that end, Safeguard has been developed by the Guardian and made available to all sporting federations to use for free to assist in the management of the administration. If we think back to COVID and we think about how there was much administration to be done so that clubs could open and how difficult getting that administration in place was, Safeguard is to ensure that we can get it right in the safeguarding space. So, how does it work? First of all, we will take your organization, the organogram of your organization, and load it into Safeguard. Let's assume this is what your organization looks like, where you have coaches who do work at clubs, clubs who plug into districts, districts who plug into provinces, provinces that ultimately plug into the federation. Now, the National Federation needs to make sure that all of the elements of the safeguarding policy have been addressed all the way down to club level, and that can become an administrative nightmare. So, the way Safeguard works is every single person from the organization will have a login into Safeguard. The coach will log into Safeguard and he or she will take responsibility for uploading their the six documents that the safeguarding policy expects them to upload. Once they've uploaded that information onto their profile, that coach will then have met the requirements of the safeguarding policy. As each of the coaches in that club upload their six, so all the coaches become compliant within that club. That doesn't end the compliance because the DSO or designated safeguarding officer also has a login into Safeguard. And when he or she log in, they log into the club's profile. And in logging into the club's profile, they would then take responsibility for uploading the four and being able to identify which of the coaches hadn't uploaded their six. Once the four and six have been met within the club would be at 100% compliance. Every club in the district would have to ensure that their compliance had been met. So, for example, if in this specific district one club is at 100% and another club is at 50%, that would then cause the district to be at 75% compliant, which is the average for all the clubs in that district. When the district DSO logs in, he or she would be able to see how compliant each of the clubs are within their district and also identify which clubs may need help in developing their compliance. Once that district DSO has got all of their clubs up to 100%, well, that district would then be at 100%. And each district DSO would take responsibility for the clubs in their area, and essentially that would then create a percentage of compliance for each district. Much like the districts, the provinces will take responsibility for their districts. And when the provincial DSO logs in to his or her safeguard profile, they would at a glance be able to see their districts. And they could even drill down into the clubs within their province. Same like the district DSO would be able to see at a glance on the dashboard what is happening with their clubs. The average compliance for the districts will define how compliant the province is. And essentially, the average compliance for each of the provinces or union will define how compliant the federation is. Now, Safeguard, being a safeguarding administration management tool, is something that doesn't just end at national level because SASCOC or SA Sports is wanting to drive safeguarding within the sport and within all sport. And so, to that end, every national federation will plug into SASCOC. And so, the average compliance of all the national federations will dictate how compliant South Africa is as a safeguarding country. If you have any questions, please reach out and let us know.